It happened, guys. It's finally here, the ACTOFIVE P-Train. Let's open this box and see what's inside, even though I know it's the ACTOFIVE P-Train. Alrighty, so there's nothing much to talk about when it comes to the actual box. It's a fairly generic box, I'd say. So let's just see what it takes to get inside of this box. That's a lot of cardboard. Very nicely packaged. Eco-friendly as well. My God. Okay, so the derailleur hanger is managed to wedge itself inside the cardboard here. Here she is, boys and girls. Not that more than 2% of my viewers are girls, but here she is. The P-Train CNC in all its glory. First impressions, it's a lot more orangey than red. And that's definitely not a bad thing. It's just something I notice. My God, this is a gorgeous frame. This is amazing. I almost don't want to put it together. I just want to hang it on the wall like this. Jeez. But of course that would be a very boring video. So let's turn this frame into a bike. But first let's put it on a stand, get some very nice and detailed shots so you guys get a better idea of what this frame is. Woo! Now there is a little box here. I'm guessing this box holds your accessories. I didn't really buy many of them. Some paperwork with the user manual. That's pretty cool. And then you get spare derailleur hanger. This is a chunky boy. This is not going to bend very easily. A spare idler pulley. Looks like some way to hold cables in place if you're going with external cable routing. Your headset. And the star nut. I actually went and bought a star nut. I could have saved so much money. Alright, so I got the frame on the good old little bike stand. So far this is looking pretty good. I love the machining on this. It's not like they were lazy anywhere with how they put their tool paths. It's all very nicely finished actually. The finish isn't like fully perfect. For example, if I look at the chainstay, well, is it a chainstay at this point? I don't know if that's easy for you guys to see. There's a little black spot here. I don't know what that is. There's also a little bit of anodization missing over here. The thing is, as you ride this and you get the colored bikes, you are going to lose a lot of the redness. This is not paint. This is basically electrical rust on your aluminium. So it is going to scratch pretty easily. I've already contacted car wrapping companies to put their PPF plastic protection over here where the tire is going to hit it a lot, and also of course on the down tube where rocks are going to get just smashed into. Yeah, it's a completely different sort of bike than what I'm used to. So how do we get this thing proper overview? Well, we'll just start at the front. So as you can see over here, there's no headset in here yet, but the cups are in place. And again, you can see the machining inside the head tube. If I move this camera around, and this is a very low effort video because I just want to get this bike out and ride it. You can actually see the machining inside the head tube, the areas where it's been fortified. If I move you over more like this, I think you can still see some of the epoxy where it was glued together, because as you can see maybe over here, these are two machined halves glued together, a bit like pull. So You know, Paul doesn't really have the best reputation, but I hope this one's going to be a bit better. So yeah, it's very cool looking. There's a logo on the front. Actually, I'm just going to go handheld. That's going to be much easier. Sorry for the shaking, but I'm quite excited, as you would be. So you get your ACTOFIVE Cycles logo up front here. Nice little cable ports with guides as well, so if you want to go internal or external. I can feel 2 holes here, plus 1 external, and then 2 more holes over here, but no external one. On the down tube, 3 cable clamps and room for a bottle cage, and these look evenly spaced, so you can probably put a bottle cage wherever you want on these 5 bolts, but this one's slightly further forward. There are no cable mounts on the top tube. Over here we have the EXT Storia rear damper. I have to look into which dial does what, because I don't know that yet. Is this a climbing switch of some sort? Yep. So we can close it, we can open it. That's going to be handy, because in the end this is just a single pivot bike. You just have the shock. The shock gets compressed when this linkage gets pulled, and then that linkage of course rotates around here, pulls as the wheel goes up, pulls this linkage, pushes this shock in, and then the chain gets routed over this wheel. Looks like slightly under the axis of rotation for the rear triangle. But yeah, this is so far looking really good. There's some chain protection up here. This looks like machined plastic. It's not been fully deburred, but I'm guessing you're going to lose all those little bits as your chain just rubs it off. Round back, this is going to be a mud trap, so that's an interesting one. I hope I'm going to be able to keep the insides clean. Should be possible, but it's quite thin. If I put my finger in it and just give it a feel, it's very thin actually, but you do get a lot of stiffness out of this pocketed aluminium, so that's cool. ACTOFIVE axle in the back, boost but not the super boost stuff, no quick releasey stuff either. Yeah, this is looking very good. Threaded bottom bracket, yeah, all nice hardware. This frame, guys, it is amazing. Just look at this. This is truly, I wouldn't call it emotional, but I'm extremely happy that I finally get a bike this cool instead of yet another plastic Canyon bike or something. So let's start the build process. Another thing I feel like I have to mention, as you can see, the shock that I ordered, I think I ordered this one, is a 525, but there was also a 550 in the box. So yay, free stuff, I guess. Maybe I paid for this without knowing. With a bike this expensive, does it really matter anymore? I don't know. But yeah, let's build it up. All right, so the original plan of showing you the build of the ACTOFIVE P-Train CNC, that's not going to happen because I'm not at all elegant when building a bicycle. Instead, I made a lot of mistakes, and I'm going to tell you which mistakes I made, so when you buy one, if you want to, you don't make the same mistakes. The most important thing, I think, is in the bottom bracket area. You see, we are dealing with the little idler pulley over here, and if this one is not perfectly aligned with the chainring, it's basically just a derailleur. So in your bottom bracket box there should be a couple of spacers, and I don't know if I can really show those, but there should be some spacers in there so you can space out your chainring left or right so that it's perfectly in line with the idler pulley. If you don't do that, then this is just going to derail your chain all the time. Another little problem that I struggled with was the seat post insertion. You see, this frame is first machined, then it's glued together, then it's reamed out again, which means that the hole is perfectly round, and so is the headset. But it also means that it's really tight, and there are a few reinforcing rings in here. And the lower ring for me was a bit too tight, and even with my full weight on the saddle I couldn't get the seat post down enough.
So I just looped the hell out of it and then just twisted it while pushing on it, and I got it this low. And so with a 210 millimeter drop, it looks a little like this. So on the S3 frame, me being 1.83 meters, I have reduced the dropper length to 200 instead of 210 millimeters. So the more you know. Now, another big problem that I had was with the brakes. You see, I'm a bit stupid, and so I thought I could just snip the standard hoses, make sure they are the perfect length, and everything would be fine. But in doing so, all the oil ran out of here and it needs a complete bleeding of the brake levers. Luckily, the local bike shop, Bike Service Peters, has done this one and has done me a massive solid doing a quick fix, but the bike does have to go back so these Dominions can get a proper bleed job to make him feel rock solid. So this idler wheel here has two positions. So you have a lower position and a higher position. Standard, it comes in the higher position, which gives you 140% of anti-squat. If you still feel like you're suspension bobbing too much, first thing I'd recommend is get a climbing switch on your shock. But you can also lower your idler pulley, which will mean the distance from the rotation here to the axle is more, and therefore you'll get 160% anti-squat instead of only 140. Now, I haven't really ridden bikes since September, I guess, and getting onto this one was an absolute joy. Not just because it looks cool, but because it actually rides really well. I feel incredibly well balanced on it. A lot of weight on the front wheel despite a massive 505 millimeters of reach, and I can still go lower with the handlebars in case I really need to. Pretty funny, the bike came with an intent top cap, even though I'm running RockShox and EXT. Obviously I didn't buy the fork with the bike, but it does come with an intent top cap, so that's pretty cool. Still a bit of grease here from assembling it. But yeah, first impressions on this bike were it's incredibly fun going downhill. It climbs all right, especially with that climbing switch. And then the day after I also did a more cross-country ride, and the only thing really letting me down there was my fitness level. Again, not having ridden since September, yeah, it was hard in the wind to keep up with my buddies, but the bike did it. There's not a whole lot of suspension bobbing. Again, 140% of anti-squat really helps there. And you can of course lock it out, and I did lock it out for the entire ride. But that's it, guys. If you need any information come the full review of this bike, please let me know right now. I will do a full review on it when my riding improves, when I get used to the bike even more, when the weather improves, because this is about the only 5 minutes of sunshine in the last 2 weeks, and I do have to deal with screaming kids to my right here. So yeah, I'll try and do a review when the weather's good, when my riding's good. And if you have any questions about this bike, put them in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.